Okay, magandang gabi ho sa inyong lahat. Welcome ho sa ating program. It's Thursday time. That means Immigration Corner na ho ngayon. No? Today's Thursday, the 20th of August 2020. Ako po si Sunny Laragan. Ang inyong, parang alalay lang ho dito sa programa na ito dahil hindi ho ako ang talagang host ho nito at hindi naman ho ako espesyalista sa larangan po ng immigration. It's Immigration Corner time, no, with ating pinakamamahal na abogada, no. Walang iba kundi si Attorney LIRA Simon CABATBAT. Attorney, magandang gabi sa iyo.
Magandang gabi po, Sonny. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. Thank you. Good evening. At yes, mukhang exciting night na naman. Meron na naman tayong matututunan tonight at malilinawan sa larangan ng immigration. So, ano meron ngayong gabing ito, Attorney?
Pag-usapan natin ngayong gabi, long residence route. No? Yun it's not as popular as say yung mga spouse application. Dahil yung nga, kailangan natin pakita is the long residence. Pero marami ng mga tao na tumagal na nga sila dito. And sometimes, wala nga silang ginagawa na natatakot sila na walang pag-asa. No? So, ang pag-usapan natin nga ngayon ay yung the two routes, ang pangalan nga long residence route. So, ang una, yung 10-year route. No? Ang pangalawang pag-usapan din natin yung 20-year route. So, unang-una, 10-year route. So, anong klaseng pwede nyo ipasok na aplikasyon dito kung matagal na nga kayo nakatira sa United Kingdom. So, yung nga yung 10 taon o yung 20 taon. No? Yung 10 taon, ang kailangan yung pakita, yung nga, 10 taon na kayo dito. At saka, kailangan din yung pakita na dire-diretso ang residente nyo dito. No? At saka matuwid sa batas ang visa nyo. So, hindi pwedeng overstayer. No? So, ang titignan ng Home Office, din, kung ang pagliban mo humagit ng 540 days. No? So, in the last 10 years. So, 18 months, kung absent kang 18 months, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yon. Now, gusto din nilang tingnan yung good character. So, ibig sabihin, titignan nila kung bibigyan ka ng visa, is it against public interest. No? So, kung meron kang mga convictions, for example, then it could be criminal convictions, it could be na magkakaproblema ka. So, yung nga. So, 10 taong ka dito, dire-diretsong visa mo, maybe continuous leave to remain ka dito. You're not absent for too long, and certainly not over 6 months. Tapos, kailangan mo din pakita, nakapasa ka ng Life in the UK test, at saka yung English language. No? At saka, by the time you make application, kailangan may visa ka din. No? Kung mapapakita mo lahat yun, yung makukuha mo, indefinite leave to remain. So, permanente nga. So, it's actually a very, very good visa to have. No? Most of the time also, pwede mong i-combine yung mga status. So, sabihin natin, dumating ka dito, estudyante ka. No? Tapos, nag-asawa ka. Tapos, within that, you then also became under the work point-based system under employment. So, kung ang total noon ay 10 years, dire-diretso, then you can make an application actually for indefinite leave to remain under the 10-year route. No? So, it's actually a very, very good route to have. Yung nga lang, it is definitely 10 years. And any cut to, yung tawag nila, continuous employment na magkakaproblema ka. Now, the other route na is yung 20-year route. Now, that's a bit more interesting. Yung 20-year route, main difference niya nga doon sa 10-year route, hindi mo kailangan na may visa ka na dire-diretso over the 20 years. So, kung naging overstayer ka, so sabihin natin may visa ka, tapos naging overstayer ka, you can still make use of the 20-year route. Yun ang kailangan. But yung nga lang, ang kailangan pakita, doble, 20 years. No? Titignan din nga lang nila yung public interest. So, kung natin makita, okay, apart from overstaying, meron bang problems mo? So, have you been convicted of any criminal offenses? No? That gusto na makita nga that it is also conducive to public good. that you are given a visa. Now, kung makakuha ka ng visa under the 20-year route, ang visa ang bibigay nga lang sa'yo muna 30 months, so 2.5 years. Now, kailangan mong extend yon. Pagka natapos ng 10 years, doon ka lang makakakuha ng indefinite leave to remain. So, under the 20-year route, no, by comparison nga dun sa 10-year route, kailangan mong pakita 10 years na total extensions nga. But nevertheless, during that time, pwede ka magtrabaho, pwede ka magbiyahe, gusto mo umuwi sa atin, balik dito, hindi mo kailangan panibagong visa. So, it's actually still a very good visa to have. Yung nga lang, it is 20 years. No? So, for both of those, yung 10 years at yung 20 years nga, of course, ang haba nga kailangan mong mag-intay. But for both of those, may posibilidad nga indefinite leave to remain. And the main thing for both of those also is yung character. Kailangan pakita mo that is actually in the public interest, in fact, for you to be granting nga ng visa. Especially yung 20-year route. No? The 10 years, as I say, it can be a combination. So both can be quite useful routes nga to be able to stay in the United Kingdom.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. So, yan na ho yun, no? Attorney, no? Yung sinasabi nating route, no? Yung dalawang long residence route. Okay. Doon sa sinasabi mong parang absence na parang 18 months, kunyari halimbawa doon sa 10-year rule na sinasabi mo, pagka nawala ng 18 months, ano yan, parang nagre-recount uli, nagdudugtong uli, o start to zero ka uli, another 10 years?
Yeah, tama ka actually. So, yung so under the 10-year rule, the main yung time scale na kailangan mong tingnan yung for the 10 years you must not be absent. Sabi nila, no absent of more than 6 months. So, 6 na buwan. No? Mm-hmm. Pero yung total na absent time mo, it must not be longer than 540 days. Yung 18 months in the last 10 years. So, sabihin natin, magsasampung taong ka na, no? Tapos, kailangan mo umuwi. Umuwi ka sa atin. Natagalan ka doon. Sabihin natin, 2 years ka nga sa atin. That means, kung makabalik ka nga dito, hindi mo magagamit, kailangan umpisa ka na naman. So, hindi nila idudugtong yung status mo dati dito. Umpisa ka na naman.
Another 10 years?
Another 10 years,
wow.
Tama.
Wow. Oo.
So, tama ka.
Wow. Okay, doon sa dalawa na yun, lagi mong sinasabi good character, no? Importante yun. Pero, pwede bang, paano kunyari, halimbawa, nakulong? Yung ba, bibilang din sa residence ng tao rito, kunyari kung mapa 10 year o mapa 20 years, bibilang ba yun o makaka-apekto yun, papasok dun yun sa good character na sinasabi mo, attorney, na which is both present on both 10 and the 20 years?
Yeah, so yun, good character, so yun nga, kung meron kang criminal conviction, that has potentially yung two effects. So for the 20 years, no, hindi naman mapuputol yung continuous residence. Yung nga lang, they will not count it towards the 20 years. So sabihin natin, 17 years ka na ngayon. Pero nangyari, kinulong ka for 2 years. No? Mm-hmm. Pagka pinalabas ka na, if you make an application under the 20-year rule, magagamit mo pa yung 17 years before, but hindi mo magagamit yung 2 years na nakakulong ka. So that cannot count towards the 20 years. No? So yun ang una.
Mm-hmm. Parang huminto lang. Parang nag-freeze lang yung sa 17, nag-freeze lang.
Tama. Oo. Tama po. Yeah. Now, yung nga lang, then, potentially more of a problem is yung good character. No? Dahil gusto nilang tignan, kailangan mong pakita, dahil ikaw application mo nga, na you are conducive to the public good.
Conducive to the public good ang sinasabi mo?
Yung tawag. Yeah.
Okay.
So ang tawag nila kung yung nga hindi ka that you would be good for the public, for the society in the United Kingdom.
So yung 17 years halimbawa na nabuo niya, tapos nakulong ng 2 taon, in effect, mapapalpak ba yung 17 years na pinagtiyagaan niya, nabuo niya more or less? Hindi ba yung pagkatapos ng 17 years, pagkalabas niya, dudugtungan na lang ngayon, let's say, another 3 years to complete the 20 years. Ano ba, makaka-apekto mo yung sa kanya? Sabi mo, conducive for the public good, no? Parang gano'n, no?
Yeah.
Pero, yon in that situation, napalpak na ba yung 17 years niya na nabuo, na pagtiyagaan, na paghirapan?
Yeah. Hindi. Pwede pa rin yan, maasahan pa rin niya yung 17 years. So, so 17 years na siya, tapos nakulong siya. Sabihin natin 2 years, tapos nakalabas na siya. Yung
Yes.
2 years na nasa loob siya, hindi niya yung pwedeng idugtong sa 17 years. So, ibig sabihin, pagka nakalabas na siya, kailangan niya dagdagan pa ng 3 years para maging 20 years. No? So, hindi naman ibig sabihin na mababaliwala na yung 17 years. Pero mas malaki siguro problema sa kanya kung meron siyang conviction is yung good character. No? Dahil, it depends of course kung ano nga nangyari, anong criminal conviction, how many times, no? Kung anong background nga niya. Because it could be nasasabihin ng Home Office, well, no, he's been convicted by 3 times or for a long period o seryoso yung conviction nga niya. It could be that they say because of that, it's not conducive to public good. Nabibigyan siya ng visa under the 20-year rule.
Okay, attorney, yung ban, so today we're talking of the long residence route, no? There's the 10 and there's the 20, no? Itanong ko lang, yung absent for 18 months, it applies for both the 10 and the 20 years na rule?
Hindi. The 18 months is really under the 20-year rule is babas ka, no? Hindi ka napapapasukin dahil wala ka ng status no? So the 20-year rule really would apply to not so many people. Dahil matagal, it's 20 years, no? It's 2 decades that wala kang ang status dito. Pagka lumabas ka sa UK, status, chances are, so the 18 months really is more for the 10-year. So yung 10-year ka, so sabihin natin you were absent for longer, less than 6 months during that time, but you were absent total, a total of 18 months, then that would be a problem under the 10-year.
Doon sa dalawa na yun, yung 10-year at saka 20-year, ang overstayer pumapasok sa 20-year parang route, yung bang 10 years, hindi ba mga overstayers yan?
Yeah. So, the main difference nga doon yung 10-year route, pagkatuloy-tuloy nga ang visa ng tao, no? So, combination, kung masok siya dito, a lot of people come in, say, estudyante, tapos meron silang nakilala dito, they become a spouse, may nangyari nga lang dun sa kasal nga nila, and then they were able to just change that, say, under the parent route, o kaya something that allows them to work, pero buo, 10 taon. Pero kailangan yung pakita, tuloy-tuloy yung visa ng 10 taon. You should not really have any gaps, although small gaps can be potentially forgiven. Pero that's a bit more complex. Pero kung pwede, tuloy-tuloy. Under the 20-year rule, noon, you can combine nga yung 10-year kung may visa ka o kailangan wala kang visa. O sometimes, sabihin natin, pumasok ka dito, turista ka, tapos hindi ka na lumabas, no? And then you've been here in the UK for 20 years na total, you can still make use of the 20-year rule.
Okay. Attorney, ito, pinag-uusapan natin, long residence route, no, attorney. Pero, hindi ba noon yata nagkaroon ng, meron bang 14-year rule din?
Yeah, tama ka. So, before 2012, meron ang pangalan ni 14-year rule. Since 2012, pinalitan nila yun ng 20-year rule. So, before, under the 14-year rule, kung mapapakita mo na nandito ka sa UK, kahit nga wala kang visa for part of it or all of it nga, no, under the 14-year rule, makakakuha ka pa rin ng visa for indefinite leave to remain, actually. No? Pero they've abolished that now. Wala na yung 14-year. Pinalitan na lang yung 20 years.
Okay. Attorney, may tanong dito. Medyo mahaba-haba ito. Babasahin ko na parang isang nobela, no? Okay. Ito galing kay Milaine Manalansan Mugabe, no? Sabi niya, this is my query for this evening's immigration matters, no? It is quite lengthy, but I'd like to give Miss Lira the background of my immigration issue. I would really appreciate it if this my query would be tackled today. Okay, I'm background applicant, Filipino national, husband is British. We have two sons, been here in the UK, was granted leave to remain partner visa 10-year route in 2015. Now, have done first extension last 2017 using FLRP PF paper application. Meron ba ganyan, no? And was granted extension. Now, when I was renewing my visa this July, which was which was done online, I believe most visa applications were done through online now. I filled up FLRM form. I tried to redo or restart the application using the link family visa apply, extend, switch for several times. And at the end of filing up the form, it kept categorizing me under FLRM. My husband said to just proceed with it. Perhaps automatically I was assessed to be qualified for that category as we could meet the financial requirement under it. I submitted my application 26 July 2020, 3 days before my leave to remain visa expired. Now, first question, was this really possible to switch FLRFP 10 years route to FLRM 5 years route? Now, there is a twist. Perhaps there are a lot of people listening who might be also in the same boat right now. Loss of job, source of income, sponsor, suddenly lost source of income. So couldn't meet financial requirements. Unexpectedly, my husband lost his job on Monday. He actually resigned as he couldn't take any more the moral degradation his employer are doing to him. Plus, employer wanted to reduce his salary up to 40%, take it or leave it, no? Because of this, we wouldn't meet any more the financial requirement. Neither of us have got work right now. Someone told us that I could vary my application back from FLRM category back to FLRFP. I followed the advice and did the variation of application on Tuesday and tried to email UKVCAS, sabi niya yesterday, to notify them about the variation of application. And on the letter, I stated the reason why I had to vary. Yun, mahaba-haba to. Note, sabi niya may note pa eh. Parang ano to? Note, I received an email from them on the 5th of August that I qualify for the biometrics reuse and was instructed to wait for further instructions. I received this email before I did the variation of application. Mahaba to. Parang, now, sabi niya, my questions. One, did I do the right thing and correct way of dealing with my situation? Two, I paid twice, one for the FLRM and the other one for the FLRFP. But for the IHS fee, parang alam na alam niya. For the FLRFP, I just used again the reference number for the IHS payment I did under FLRM. Will that be okay? What is most likely the outcome of my visa application? I am so anxious now. I need a favorable outcome so I could find a job immediately whilst my husband is also still looking for work. We need some income coming immediately. Thank you and more power, sir, in your program. I don't know kung ano yan, no? Haba nun.
Yeah, mahaba, pero it's actually a very interesting and not uncommon scenario. So it's good. And thank you for the question. So let's tackle it, no?
Okay.
So as I understand it, she entered. She got a visa first under the 10-year route. Now partner route. That was back in 2015. And then she varied that application as that of a spouse, so submitted an FLRM application, that was 3 days before the visa was due to expire. Now, in the meantime, recently, husband lost his job, and so she was advised, and therefore varied back the application from the spouse application FLRM back to how she had it before under the 10-year partner route. Now, and then she received in the meantime her biometric, that she can reuse her biometric from before. I mean, I can say now in relation to that, don't worry about that bit. You have other things not to worry about. She simply used also the same reference for the IHS that she paid before in making this application under FLRM, or swapping over again. And again, that's fine. So a number of questions. Unang-una, the process. Did she follow the correct process? Pangalawa, husband has lost his job. So what effect, if any, will that have with on her application now? And also, what is the likely outcome? So let's look at it. Let's dissect it. So unang-una, yung application niya nga from to vary from the 10-year route to FLRM, so as a spouse, that's perfectly acceptable, no? And some people do that, vary from the 10-year route to the 5-year route, mainly because yung time saving. So under the 10-year route, partner route, ibig sabihin 10 years nga ang kailangan yung pakita, so 10 taon, ano? But under the spousal route, it's 5 years na total. So kung nakakuha ka ng visa under the 10-year route, and then you swap it next time around to a spouse, as long as you qualify, then that means that rather than showing total nga 10 years, you only need to show total 5 years, but of course starting over again. So really, you save yourself 2.5 years potentially. No? But so yung unang yung ginawa, swapping it from a 10-year route, from the 10-year route to a spousal route, that's fine. No? Now, my only concern there is at the time, okay, hindi naman problema yung pera, because at the time he was working, and presumably he was earning more than the sufficient, the minimum income that's required, which is 18,600 pounds. Now, but if you swap under the partner route 10 years to the spousal route under FLRM, kailangan mo din pakita, and hindi ko nga lang alam kung nagpasok siya ng English language, no? Now, that's the English language test, which is fairly basic naman eh, no? Pero kailangan niya yun in order to swap it over under the spousal route. So if she did not submit the English language test, then you would have failed under the spousal route. So under the spousal route, kailangan niyang pakita 18,600 English language test, along with accommodation, and of course, genuine relationship, marriage is valid. So all those things must be satisfied. Now, so she swapped it over for FLRM. Problem is, nawala yung trabaho ng asawa niya. No? So ang ginawa niya, pinayuhan siya ng someone, why don't you swap that over again under the FLRFP, so under the 10-year partner route. No? Now, in fact, there it was unnecessary to have swapped it over. That you see, what she should have done is, rather than swapping it over, is made you have to inform the Home Office. Kailangan sabihin, okay, if she would like for the matter to be reconsidered, in fact, to be reconsidered under also 10-year route, because, and in her case, it's actually just the money. No? Dahil nawalang ng trabaho yung asawa. So it's not that the relationship broke down. is actually the money. Now, my advice is really she should not have swapped it, no? Because there's government guidance nga at the moment, because if this COVID, maraming mga tao nawawalan trabaho nila, or they're being forced to take a pay cut. Yung asawa nga niya, I mean, it means it's 40%. They're asking him to take a cut. So no wonder he said no. So if you lost your job, or suddenly nga you're not able to make the 18,600 simply because of job loss, no, there's merong temporary guidance at the moment, which they say, okay, as long as you satisfied the income at the time nga of the application, no? Or indeed if it's an extension now, but last time you satisfied it, they would still grant you an extension under FLRM as a spouse. No? But that is just temporary to cover nga this terrible situation that people are unfortunately facing, loss of job or a serious reduction in their income. Also, by the way, kung pareho kayo nagtatrabaho, no, may trabaho ka din, may trabaho siya part-time, pero ang combination ng income nyo is 18,600. That's allowed. Hindi nga lang kailangan mong asahan yung asawa. So, you can actually, so if you're earning 10,000, yung asawa mo, sabihin natin 10,000, that's more than enough to satisfy the 18,600. The reality also is, pagka nagpasok ang tao ng FLRM, pero hindi nga pwede, for whatever reason, and in this case nga income, no, sabihin natin, if that's not satisfied, they would have considered the application under the 10-year route anyway. So worst case scenario would have been they would have refused the application as a spouse, and then they should grant you, as long as you still satisfy the other conditions under the 10-year route. That is, the relationship is ongoing. You're obviously living in the United Kingdom. So if you satisfy nga all those, ang bibigay sa yung visa 2.5 years uli. But so there was actually no need to swap it again. No? Now, unfortunately, you've made the payment. You can try and get that money back. Ang taas ng pangbayad. The home office fee at the moment is I think it's £1,052.20. No? So it's over £1,000 for the fee nga lang to the home office. You should try and get that back. So pagkatapos na to, ask if you can get a refund at least of one of the fees, because really that was a mistake. Now, yung biometric, when you got the email saying, okay, they can reuse the biometric that you submitted before, don't worry about that. I would say siguro mga 50% of my clients, if not more, do not have to redo their biometric because they already did their biometric not last time around. So that does not affect either application. No? Now, what to do now? No? Ang payo ko, it's prepare further representations if you have not done that already. No? The reason being, if you, given all these circumstances, it would be good kung alam ng home office ano bang nangyari. So, just a brief note really to say, okay, nagpasok ng application nito, unfortunately, he lost his job. Make reference to the interim provision. Actually, email me, no, and I'll send you the link so that you can quote it, chapter and verse. Yeah. And then say, okay, matagal ka na dito, and you have been here, it seems, since 2015 nga. They should consider, you'd like for your matter, in any event, to be considered under Article 8, private life, family life in the UK. The reason you should say that is, kung may mangyari nga, sabihin nila, o hindi nga sapat under the 10-year rule, or hindi nga sapat under the spousal rule, in raising the Article 8 provisions, no? Yung human rights, you may then have a right of appeal. No? So at least then you can challenge it nga at court. No? So and by the way, also you can in the meantime, kahit nga na ng application, you can get a copy of your file from the home office if you are unclear as to what what application they're looking at. No? So you can do what's called the subject access request. You pay them, I think at the moment, something like £10. You can make an application also online, and you can get a copy of your file. It'll take them, at the moment, sabi nila 40 working days. So it's not as bad probably as you think. But unfortunately, in swapping it over, nagpasok ng application, you swapped it over, and nagpasok ka uli ng application, that probably would confuse the home office a bit. So it's important nga na you clarify the position. At saka end your letter with, in any event, you are together, you clearly are pursuing a family life in the United Kingdom. So it's probably naturally not as bad as you think.
Okay, all right. So it's not as bad as you think, no? Okay, dokie. May mga tanong pa tayo rito, no? Hindi ko makita doon sa main, pero dito nakikita ko sa gilid, no? Ito, from M. Ferrer. Teka muna, tignan ko muna yung mga bumabati sa ating attorney para at least ma-acknowledge lang natin, no? Right. Si RG Menodin, no? Nanonood sa atin. Good evening po, sabi niya. Si May Tigbao Vargas, good evening, Sir Sunny and Attorney Lira. Okay. Si MM, Giling, no? Hi, good evening po, sir and madam. Ayan. May tanong rito si M. Ferreira, no? Bumabati siya kanina. Basahin ko lang rito. Sabi niya, hello po, good evening. May ask po ako. Kukuhanin ko po ang husband ko from the Philippines. Visa ko indefinite to remain. May anak po kami, British citizen na. Makukuha ko po ba siya sa spouse visa kahit hindi ma-meet yung 18,600? Salamat po. God bless.
Okay. Yeah.
Ako,
Yeah. So nandito ka, may indefinite ka na dito. Nandito nga ang anak nyo, British na yung anak nyo. Kukunin mo si Mr. nasa Pinas, pero hindi sapat ang income mo, 18,600. Now, kung wala kang, ang tawag nila, mga exempt benefits, so disability living allowance, for example, ganoon, then you need to satisfy the 18,600. Now, may paraan pa rin. You can, especially nandito nga yung bata, you can make an application, submit an application on the basis of human rights. For example, nga, Article 8, right to family, private life, especially nga yung bata. But to be frank, that's quite difficult to establish. Dahil sasabihin nga nila, likely, well, we're not stopping you from carrying out your private family life in the United together. So kung gusto nyong umuwi, you can do that. You can certainly carry out your family life nga in the Philippines. So really, if at all possible, you want to earn the 18,600 because otherwise you may just cause yourself difficulties. At saka ang taas ng pagbayad sa home office is over £1,000, no? And if you don't plus the IHS surcharge, so it would be a pity to lose all that, because hindi nila ibabalik yun when they refuse the application. So kung ako ikaw, I would try and earn the 18,600, and then as a last resort, then certainly you can see about making an application under Article 8 nga, human rights, partly because nandito nga yung bata.
Okay. May mga tanong pa tayo rito, attorney, no? Ito. Dali, basahin natin yung isa dyan sa, sa ating mga nagre-react, no? Bumabati sa atin, Joey Baluyot. Good evening, Sir Sunny. Yan. Good evening din, no? Emeline Rafael. Good evening, Sunny and Attorney Lira. Ayan. Si Lorraine Cantos. Hello po, Attorney. Kuya Sunny, I'll email you po, Attorney, later. Sabi niya. Okay.
Please.
Right. Teka muna. Ba't laging nawawala dito sa ating harapan? Dito ko na babasahin sa gilid. Ang problema, nagsa-side view tuloy ako. Sabi ni Marian Pasternak, Kuya Sunny, question... Oops, ano ba to? Sadali lang, ha? Okay, Kuya Sunny, question ko po kay Kapo. My French children were born when I was still a Filipino. Now I am naturalized French. They are 19 years old and 23 years old. Can they apply for Filipino passport as yeah, use ba o juice? Use sanguinis applies to them, right? Or are you ano po or ano po ang visa ano to? Teka muna, hindi ko makita to Puputol Ano po yung visa?
Yeah.
Tatandali lang na ano po yung visa? Okay. Ano po ang visa na need ng mga anak ko namin and more than 17 years old para makabisita sa Pilipinas? I don't know if you can answer this, no?
Well, subukan natin, Sonny.
Oh, sige,
So,
sige. Okay,
ito,
go.
So, it's not really an English law matter, but
Yes.
pag-usapan
Oo
natin.
nga. Pilipinas
so, tayo, our nationality passes what they say nga through blood, no? So, certainly, I would be, kung pinanganak ka sa atin, you would be entitled to Filipino citizenship as I understand it, no? Now, I seem to recall reading somewhere nga, actually, if you have a look at the website, at their question and answer, the FAQs, no, they deal quite well now with that scenario. And from memory, I believe you can actually, because they are your children. It's a different form, but you can apply. You can also apply for them for Filipino citizenship nga, kahit nga sila French. Now, just be careful separately from that. I don't know if they hold any other nationalities, no? Some countries would not allow beyond, say, dual citizenship, or sometimes it's, 3 citizenship. Just check nga that the French authorities, okay sila kung makakakuha sila, ewan ko kung British nga din sila, because that would make otherwise 3 citizenships. I know that the Germans would have a problem with 3 citizenships, but check that you don't compromise the French citizenship. But from memory, I think you can actually apply because anak mo nga sila, as long as you can show na anak mo nga sila, and you can show that you yourself are a Filipino.
I don't know, attorney, kung trivial question to, no? May mga Pilipino galing sa Pilipinas, may Filipino citizenship, no? Napunta na Spain. Naka-acquire na Filipino citizenship dahil mas mabilis doon, 'di ba? Sa Spain. Nag-dual citizenship. Napunta rito bago tong pagsasara nitong Brexit natin. Naka-acquire na rin ng British citizenship. Magkakaroon ba ng problema yan, attorney? Or may binabanggit kang German, the Germans might not allow it. Sa ganong sitwasyon, Spanish, British, Filipino, I don't know, may kakaroon ba ng problema in relation to this, for example, itong French na ating kababayan, si Marian Pasternak?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a potential problem. So, I mean, I see the advantage nga dahil kung marami kang citizenship, then especially given that we Brexited nga, kung meron kang EU citizenship, either because you're Spanish or French, or Italian or German, and then on top of that, meron kang British citizenship, of course, that's a potential big advantage nga. Yung nga lang, be careful. So it's not at all a trivial question, actually. Check always na yung all the countries of which you are a citizen, no, in fact, allow it. So, for example, I think the Netherlands would not allow dual citizenship. The Germans would have a problem, especially now, as regards dual nationality. So be careful na in trying to get as many citizenship as you can, that if you see it as an advantage nga, that you don't then compromise the status that you already have. So it could be, kung bawal nga sa French authorities yun, tapos malaman nila, and yung mga bata, they acquire a Filipino citizenship. It may well be that the French, they were in that case, you've given up. You have effectively you've rescinded your French citizenship, which may be more disastrous dahil hindi naman sila nakatira sa atin, nakatira sila dito with, say, permanent residence or indeed in France. So before undertaking anything else, unang-una, tignan mo muna, have a look at the French embassy website. Checking nyo, a dual or indeed triple nationality. Is that allowed or does that compromise that status?
Ayun. Okay, so tignan nyo, i-check ninyo, no? Pero itong no, if you acquire British citizenship, no, say from Filipino, walang problema, no? Hindi naman nire-require tayong i-give up yung ating Filipino citizenship, no? If you acquire a British passport.
Well, actually, the process is when you acquire your British passport, you are rescinding any other nationality, no? But ang maganda nga sa atin, we can get it back. It's not a problem, no? So
we can get it back as Filipinos. Are you referring to the yung dual citizenship dual nationality nating ano?
Opo, yeah.
Yan. Okay.
So we can definitely be both. We can definitely be Pinoy and also British. But just beware, as I say, a lot of countries don't like it if you have more than 2 citizenships.
So are you saying
always check?
Are you saying, attorney, if you don't do the acquisition, in effect, hindi ka Filipino, British ka talaga, soon as you acquired your British citizenship?
Yeah, tama. You've given it up effectively. So you need to actually. That's why we have the oath taking afterwards. No. I mean, this is something more.
Oath taking na Filipino. Are you referring to the oath taking?
Yes.
Okay. Sa Philippine
so
embassy.
I don't think. I mean, it's not my field, immigration law in the Philippines, but I don't think it's actually too onerous to apply to reacquire your citizenship. No. But you do need to do that, especially kung tayo kung bibili kang mga lupa sa atin o matatagalan ka nga sa atin, unless you can get some kind of balikbayan visa, it may be useful certainly to have your Filipino passport back.
Okay. Alright, may mga pagbati lang dito, no? Hindi nawawala eh. So dito ko lang babasahin. Edong Morada, sabi niya, very interesting discussion. Po, Sir Sunny and Attorney Lira, more power to you both po. Salamat, no? Edong Mercado. Si Romex Trinidad Sambahon. Good evening, Kuya Sunny and Attorney Lira. God bless po sa inyo, no? Sige, thank you. Tignan ko kung umaabot doon sa pag nag-overtake na itong ano. Sabi ni Francia Martinez Lavado Cook. Hello, good evening po, Sir Sunny. At thank you po, Attorney Lira, for your help po sa mga kababayan natin. God bless. Ayan. Tapos si, ano pa itong babae? Riz Dios Mendez. Hello po, Sir Sunny and Attorney Lira. Sabi niya. Si Rudy Libroho, sabi niya, good evening po, Sir Sunny. Okay. At Sir Sunny and Attorney Lira, very helpful show. Mabuhay po and keep safe everyone. Sabi ni Annalyn Ohanen. Ayan, Ohanen. Sabi ni Annalyn Ohanen, good evening po, Sir Sunny and Attorney Lira. Greetings from Finland. Uy, Finland.
Finland.
Naligaw, oo. Hindi kasi Europe-wide tayo eh, no? Okay, ano ba to? Okay, sabi ni Richard Rambulan, thank you for the answer. Ano yung sinasabi niya? Baka may ano ka, no? Attorney Lira, how can I contact you? Where is your office po? Ay, hindi, ito, teka muna, i-flash natin. Si Joey Baluyot, no? Attorney, si Baluyot. Ito, i-flash lang natin. Ito ho, attorney, ano ba? 9 to 5 ba kayo? In-specify lang natin yung telephone kasi baka tawagan nila ngayon. Walang sasagot, no? 9 to 5 ba yan?
So 9 to 5:30 po kami bukas.
5:30, okay.
Sa Huwebes ngayon, on Thursdays, actually, nandun ako until 7 o'clock, no? So, call me. Yung nga lang, kung gusto nyo, mag-email kayo sa akin. Kung gusto nyo English, Tagalog, no problem at all. Sabihin nyo nga lang sa subject, no, lagay nyo pangalan ni Sonny, no? So, alam ko, that's why you're calling me. Tapos tatawagan ko kayo. I'm happy to discuss it. Mas maganda nga pag-usapan natin. So, at least, if nothing else, I can point you in the right direction, no? And most of the time, 50% of the time, mga tao, nag-aalala kayo, wala namang problema. So, I'm more than happy to at least be able to say, huwag kayong mag-alala. It's not truly as bad as you think it is. But yung nga lang, kung hindi, that's the thing with immigration nga. It can be extremely confusing. And we've said this many times, you and I, Sonny, no? Immigration is important to us, that it affects everything. Yung hanap buhay natin, your liberty, your family life. And so, it is one of those things na kung may problema or you think it's a problem, it's the first thing you think of in the morning and the last thing you think of at night. So, if we can be of a bit help na masasabi ko, okay, wag mag-alala, it should be fine, then I'm more than happy to do that. No problem at all. Contact me. So, telephone number namin, nakita nyo na, no? 0203-375-0345. Yeah? At saka yung email ko, nakikita nyo dyan, yung apelyido ko, cabatbat@douglas-simon.com. Anytime, truly. I'd prefer you ask. Kung hindi ko alam sagot, I may be able to refer you to someone else who may know, especially if it's to do nga with a specific jurisdiction law, Philippines kaya, or indeed other nationality. But I'm more than happy, absolutely, to assist.
Okay, well, tama, hindi, ano yan para kang tumama sa lottery, especially kasi very stressful yan, di ba? Yung kaba mo, na baka, di ba kasi andin yan parang nasa, parang yung justice yung scale, di ba? Binabalance din yan. Para kang 50-50 din dyan, di ba? So, maaaring, di ba? And to be able to hurdle that, talagang kasi, di ba? Pagka nalagpasan mo at na-legalize na yung stay mo, you can do anything. You can do a business, a work na hindi ka na matatakot na patago-tago ka na lang, no? Hindi ka na, pwede mo nang awayin yung dapat mo awayin, no, attorney, dahil dati parang hindi ka pwede makipag-away, baka ituro ka, di ba?
I mean, definitely. Marami tayong mga kapwa natin. Sometimes, it's quite upsetting dahil sinasabi ng istorya nila sa'yo, inaapi sila. No? Tapos, hindi sila makasagot dahil natakot nga sila magsumbong o kaya sometimes ginugulpi sila ng asawa o kaya sometimes mother-in-law. So, those things absolutely happen. So, importante nga yung immigration. And also sometimes, kung mga tao, if they don't have the same experience, no, they don't fully get why it is na talaga, we're so worried about our status, why you're thinking about it every single minute of the day, no? So, tama ka, Sonny. Pagka natapos na nga yun, it is like winning the lottery. And
it is.
Sabi ko nga dati, the most rewarding part talaga of my job and most enjoyable part of my job is pagka nanalo kami o nakakuha kami ng visa, tapos tatawagan ko yung kliyente ko, sasabihin ko, dumating ng visa mo o nanalo tayo. Truly, it is so rewarding that alam ko how important that is to that client and to that client's family. And later on, even the extended family na umaasa sa kanila. So, truly, kung may problema, please, just email me, call me. Happy to assist. Don't be shy.
Tama yun. No? Kaya nga sa Amerika, di ba, maraming nagpapilit pumasok. Sa UK, maraming nagpipilit pumasok. Ayan, may mga boats dyan sa may Dover ba yan, sa Kent, sa English Channel, no? They're talagang nagde-dare sila because they think na, they equate being here in the UK or in America is a good life and opportunities, no? So, ayun ho, pag ang immigration problem ho ninyo na-solve, tama nga, para ka nanalo sa lottery. Basahin ko lang yung mga iba pang mga pagbati rito at mga Si ano sa okay, Annalyn, ano ba to? Ojame from Finland, nabasa natin yan. Si Richard Rabuhan. Rabulan ba to? Good evening po. Question po. Pareho po. Sandali. Tignan ko baka dito. Nalilito ako rin sa kabilang side eh. Eto, good evening po Sir Sunny and Attorney Lira. Just want to ask po kung anong gagawin. I made a mistake in filing our marriage through the Philippine Embassy. I put my wife's surname as her middle name and her middle name as her last name. Paano namin makorek yan so I can get my wife to use my last name on her next passport renewal? Teka na, Philippine Embassy to. Maano mo ba to? Parang magulo yata.
Husbok ako.
Sige, okay.
I think what the process will be, you need to prepare an affidavit, no? And they can correct, I'm aware that they can correct passports. So yun gusto mo nga mangyari. On their website, I think there's a kind of standard affidavit. So you can either do it now and get nga a new passport saying the correct name, or you can maybe do it later on. Pero kung ako kayo, it's probably better nga to do it now. Dan problema, if you continue with the passport she continues nga with the passport that she has now, ibig sabihin, yung mga dokumento niya na ngayon, so bank account, doctor, national insurance, ang titingnan nila, they want to see some form of ID. Form of ID usually is passport. So makikita nila doon, and they will follow the name on the passport. So ibig sabihin, all those formal documents, in the meantime, will be under the wrong name, dahil baliktad nga. So it's probably an idea to do it now, get it now corrected, rather than waiting later on. Now, if you don't want to do that yet, then another way, I suppose, a kind of roundabout way of doing it would be to execute what's called a change of name deed. No, so that's something that solicitors could prepare. So the change of name deed would say, okay, it would explain itong pangalan mo, itong totoo. So every time when you open an account, papakita mo yung passport, but you also provide a certified copy of the change of name deed, and then they will. Hopefully the bank will pick up the correct name and actually use that. But to be frank, it's probably better just to use just to get it changed. Also, they will if you're traveling, no, it may cause a problem. Dahil mali nga yung passport niya. So effectively, you're using a document that is defective.
Okay, all right. Ayan, at least nasasagot ko ni attorney yan. Yan yung mga ganyang expertise o kaalaman. Malawak ko ang kaalaman ni attorney, no? Okay. So, si Arnel Valenzuela bumabati sa atin from West Cork, Ireland, attorney, no?
Wow.
Yeah. So, parang international ka na, no? So,
yeah, popular tayo ngayon, Tony.
Hindi ka lang pang UK, pang Europe ka pa, no? Parang ganyan, no? Okay, I'm sure pati yung mga sa Pilipinas na intriga, sino ba yung attorney do sa United Kingdom? So, okay, si Nancy Amores Nicole, sabi niya, kapag nag-grant ang British citizenship ko, automatic na void na ang Philippine passport ko. So, kailan ako, siguro yung kanina pinag-uusapan natin, no? So, kailan ako pwede mag-apply na a dual citizenship? And how long could I stay in the Philippines given that scenario?
Oh, okay. Again, subukan ko, no? Because I'm not an expert in Philippine immigration law. But as I understand it, you can apply anytime. So makuha ang British passport, British citizenship mo ngayon. Bukas, kung gusto mong, if you want to apply for your Philippine passport citizenship back, you can do that. I don't think there's a time scale that you need to wait for. Now, kung yung dual ka, then it's you can of course stay as long as you want to sa Pinas because you are a Filipino, no? Now, I'm aware also, and this I need to check. And Sonny, you may actually know quite a bit more actually about this. I think there's a balikbayan visa, and I think under those terms you can stay in the Philippines for 1 year. But as I say, it's not my field, so I was looking at that in relation to another matter that I'm presently dealing with. So you can also do that. But if you're going to apply for a Filipino passport, you can, it means you are British and you are Filipino, no? And if you're Filipino, then you can stay in the Philippines for that length of time. Now, different, of course, is would that, an interesting question would be, would that affect then your British citizenship, no? So, kung Pinoy ka, tapos, so dual ka, you decide, actually, I'm going to retire in the Philippines, which a lot of my clients do. They kind of do part and part, dito tsaka sa atin. Would you lose your British citizenship if you're in the Philippines for long? No, is
Hindi
the
na,
answer,
di ba?
because you are British.
na eh. Oo, tama.
Tama.
Oo. Pero kung permanent resident dun, magkakaroon ng problema because, well, ito yung napipick up ko lang sa aming usap-usap na every week na, na usapan. Yung nga, di ba, may 2-year, yata yan, di ba?
Tama ka.
Requirement, no? Pag lumagpas ka na ron, medyo magkakaroon ka ng problema.
Tama ka, Sonny.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 years.
2 years. Okay. View Shervin Junicio Magno, no? Watching from Spain. Okay,
Oh,
Joey
Spain.
Baluyot. Oh, yeah, Spain kasi Joey Baluyot, thank you very much. Attorney Lira, salamat din Sir Sunny. Oyamanhi Marianel. Hello po, Attorney and Sunny. Thank you for your help. Ayan. Si Joey Baluyot, you're right, no? Sabi niya, it's like a goal na na-achieve natin. Siguro itong when you attain, no? Or get your, yung indefinite leave to remain or citizenship mo rin. No? May tanong pa tayo dito, Attorney. Ano ba to? Kay Lily, Soledad, okay? Gusto kong dalhin yung sister ko dito sa UK to do a college undergrad degree. Is there a chance of her staying here indefinitely if she finds a job when she graduates?
There's always a possibility, but hindi nga lang yun. I think that the main thing is really to manage her expectations, no? So kung pagpasok nga niya dito under as a student, so that means magpapasok niya application under what's called the points-based system. So she comes in as a student. During that time, she needs to study nga. And then maybe then she depends kung anong natapos nga niya. It could be then she's able to apply later on. She may need to leave the UK and come back in again under tier 2 to come into pursuant to employment. Pwede nga din yun, or indeed as something else if she meets someone else here. So the quick answer is yes. There's a possibility that ultimately makakakuha nga siya indefinite. But you should manage her expectations. Hindi nga yung basta-basta. Hindi ibig sabihin na pagpasok nga niya dito as a student next time around, pwede siya magpasok ng indefinite. That expectation would be a recipe for disaster. So, she needs to know, okay, kung nandito siya as a student, she's coming in as a student, it's actually that. She's coming in as a student. If circumstances then change because of her qualification o kaya her domestic situation, because she meets someone else, for example, that is something else for the future. But beware, kung papasok nga siya dito as student, it is only as a student.
Ayan. Kasi may mga ganyan. Maraming mga kapatid, no? They wanna help out their mga siblings, no? Papapasukin as a student, no? Ganon. In the hope siguro na magkakaroon siguro ng trabaho rito, no? At eventually magstay na o baka makapangasawa o baka maipakilala. Minsan, di ba, parang nililigaw-ligaw. Pakikilala ka sa sister ko o sa kapatid ko ron sa Pilipinas. No? Ganon, naghahanap ng mga Yeah. Yes, attorney.
And also, naintindihan ko nga yun na meron kang mga kapatid sa atin, gusto mo silang kapiling. No? At the same time, gusto mo din silang tulungan. But just beware, as I say, importante nga you manage their expectations. Then I come across mga situation, okay, pumasok nga nandito yung kapatid, may establish na nga siya dito, meron siyang indefinite o kaya British na nga, kinakuha niya yung kapatid niya papasok dito, mag-aaral nga dito. Yung kapatid na pumasok, ang expectation niya, makakakuha na siya ng indefinite dahil nandito nga ang kapatid niya. That is wrong. And sometimes that means nga, because of ang expectation niya iba, so kung ano man nasa atin, sinanla na niya, no, binenta na nga niya, she's banked everything in coming to the UK dahil yun ang expectation niya. And sometimes that causes a falling out. Dahil she thinks na hindi nga tumutulong yung ate. Ayaw niyang tumulong. Whereas ate is, well, that's as far as she can go, o kaya fed up na din. No? So it's just important from the beginning that you manage the expectations both ways. No? So tama nga yung nagtanong, it's important nga that you know what exactly to expect so that everyone is clear pagka nandito na siya na yun nga lang muna, and then see what happens.
Palagay ko, this is the longest broadcast that we've ever had, no?
Yeah. Sorry, son. We're so popular tonight, no?
Oo, maganda. Napakaganda. At maganda rin ang topic natin sa long residence route, no? Na pinag-usapan natin 10-year route, 20-year route, no? Para ako nagre-recap, no? 10-year, 20-year route. At napag-usapan natin 14-year rule na pasay na because 2012 yata nawala na yun.
Yeah.
Ayan. Ay, baka gusto ko, final thoughts, baka gusto mo i-recap yung ating pinag-usapan, attorney. Yung long residence route, yes. Go.
So just to, the 10-year and the 20-year route they're less used just because 10 years is a long time and certainly the 20 years is a very long time. But don't forget them, no? And they're particularly useful nga, and for people who have been here a long time. And my experience is yung mga taong nandito na sila, matagal na nga sila dito, they didn't even know. They don't know that it exists, no? But the 20 years, definitely, you can use nga even if you overstay na, no? As long as mapapakita mo, 20 years ka nga dito. And one thing actually, under the 20-year route, most of the time, ang problema ko, ebidensya. So please don't throw anything away, no? Na kailangan yung pakita, talagang tuloy-tuloy 20 years. So anything really. Picture, sulat sa inyo na may sobre, bank statements, kahit na nga luma. So anything and everything that would show na tuloy-tuloy nga. Payslips, no? Kung dumating ka dito as a student back in the day, 20 years, and may trabaho ka nga, you got payslips, make sure you keep all those. Put them in date order. Don't throw anything away. Remittance slips even, no? Kung nagpapadala ka sa atin, dahil nandun yung address mo, nandun pangalan mo. So all those things are important especially under the 20-year route. The 10-year route absolutely is useful, and at the moment I have quite a few clients who satisfy the 10-year route. It's useful because you can combine status, no? Sabihin natin, student, spouse, work, if they all total to 10 years, you're fine, no? But yung nga lang, the main difference between the two, 10-year route, definitely, kailangan tuloy-tuloy yung visa mo. 20-year route, kahit naputol, you can make use of it.
Okay. So itago nila lahat, sabi mo nga, di ba? Yung mga payslips nila, maski student visa sila, yung mga pagpapadala nila ng pera dahil merong evidence of address doon. Halimbawa lang, ito, I don't know, this is just probably a trivial question. Babae, meron siyang boyfriend, nagkaselosan, nagalit, sinunog lahat yung mga papel niya. Ano pa ang mga pwede niyang ipakita? I'm sure, alam ko, marami pang mga pwede niya siyang ipakita. Kailangan ba talaga ng maraming ebidensya? Kung medyo mabitin, for some mga circumstances may nangyari na wala lahat yun, wala na.
Yeah, it happens. Sometimes, especially mga tao, pagka, we move, people move, no? People move a lot. Sometimes nga, sometimes without anyone really being at fault, documents disappear. Nababaha o kaya, nasusunog, all those things. Now, kung mawala ang mga dokumento mo, again, it doesn't mean that you should give up. What you should do is tignan mo, okay, stand back and say, ano bang mapapakita kong alternative evidence? They may not be as formal documents dahil walang mga bank statements. So, bank statements actually, you can potentially get again from the bank. You can request copy bank statements, no? If it's tax documents, you can write to the Inland Revenue and ask for a copy of your file. Actually, you can ask for the under the subject access request, you can get a copy of your file. So makikita mo doon, okay, when did you start working? Kung if you studied in the UK, it could be na pwede kang pumunta sa college ulit to get a copy of your transcript, no? Now, even if you don't have those formal documents, you may have photographs. Hopefully, you have backups, no? Alam ko hindi uso to 20 years ago na mayroon kayong backup. But hopefully you have some. Or write to write back home. Sa Pinas nga, no? It could be nagpadala ka sa atin ng mga picture and they still have it, no? Remittance slips. It could be na nandun pa. And actually, most financial institutions are required to keep their data for a minimum of 7 years, no? So you can potentially get those back. So otherwise, it's also things like kung meron kayong mga kaibigan na alam nila, kilala ka nila from 20 years ago, get statements from them, no? To say, yeah, no, we met when she first arrived in the UK. We've been meeting each other about once a month. I can attest to the fact that she's been in the United Kingdom throughout. So all those things can potentially be total good evidence under the 20-year route. So don't lose heart. Kahit nga wala kang mga documents. But if you can, do not throw anything away. But if kung nawala. Don't give up though. See if there are other alternative documents. It's not impossible.
Okay, well, puntahan nyo si attorney, no, para maituro pa sa inyo kung ano pa pwede nyong gawing mga strategies para to beef up yung ano, no, yung inyong application for using the 20-year rule, no. Yan, kamukha yata mga evidences, mga people statements, no. Pwede rin yata yun, sinasabi mo, no. Yung mga sinasabi mo pa. Okay.
Absolutely. No, tama ka. Absolutely. Yan. And yung nga, be creative, no? So it can be anything and everything. It could be also meron kang mga awards sa trabaho, no?
Oo. Ay, yung mga Facebook kaya, attorney, makakatulong yan. Siyempre, di ba, naka-stamp yan, mga dates, no? O di ba, yung mga, siyempre, nagpapakuha ka ng mga shots mo. That could also be proof, no? If you can hunt for the photos na pwede nyo to show evidence na nandito ka for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. No? Actually, nakalimutan ko yun. No? Tama ka. Facebook is a very good source, actually, of information. Dahil it goes from really the beginning, no?
Repository yan eh. Repository yan ng mga di ba? Baka lang nag-cross lang sa mic ko. You can pwede pala yan.
No, absolutely. I mean,
okay.
Nung 20 years ago, of course hindi uso 'yon, but ngayon, yeah, absolutely. Facebook social media can be very very useful in yung pakita yung history. And actually, that's one thing na you should do. Make a note. And tingnan mo. Really think about, okay, kung wala na ito, what else is there? You'll be surprised what you have, truly.
Okay. Di ba sa mga application ba ng mga evidence, kunyari, to show that anak mo yon o boyfriend mo yon, mga emails, di ba? Ganyan, kasama rin yung mga emails, di ba?
Yeah.
So,
emails too also. Alam kong hindi na usong sulatan ngayon, ano?
Wala na.
Yeah, no. I don't know if you got any written Christmas cards last Christmas, Sonny, but I got e-cards, which is not as good, I don't think, no?
Oo nga. Well, ngayon wala na ngayon. Ngayon online dating na eh. May asawa ka na minsan, online lang eh. Di ba? Hindi mo na kailangan pumunta sa manligaw o mag-virtual na lang kayo. Tapos eventually, malaking bagay. Anyway, si Imelda Hintay Fernandez, maganda na middle name niya sa yung Pilipinas.
Name.
Hintay, no? Fernandez. Naghintay siguro siya sa kakapanood sa atin. So mabuhay ka, no? Okay. Well, I guess napakaganda ng ating naging discussion for tonight. I'm sure. Dahil napakaraming nanood sa atin for this evening. At siguro very interesting kasi ito dahil tama nga, sabi nga ni Joey Baluyot parang you attain something, parang, di ba, pagka ganito, di ba, sinabi ko kasing para ka nanalo ng lottery kapag ka naipanalo mo o nailusot mo yung application dahil yung agam-agam, yung stress and everything, di ba, nawala na yan.
Yeah.
And panibagong buhay, you're thinking na, hey, pwede na ako magtrabaho, hindi na ako pwedeng bayaran ng mga tao na medyo bitin yung na-exploit ka eh. Hindi lang sa pera ha, kunyari sa sweldo, marami akong nakikilala attorney na mga babae no, na because overstayer sila, some guys would take advantage. Kunyari, kinakanlong ba o parang inaaruga o inaano, no? But they take advantage dahil nga hindi makapalaging girl, no? Dahil overstaying eh. So,
No, absolutely. It unfortunately nga it truly happens. Tayo we are as a race, I think, of entrepreneurs, no? So it's truly frustrating, I think nga kung alam mo marami kang plano, marami kang gustong gawin and you can't do it, no? And then on top of that, inaapi ka pa. I can see that immigration nga sa atin and for a lot of people is a very important and can be scary topic. But the thing is nga, like everything else, don't panic. So, tingnan nyo, ano bang problema? Seek advice if you need it and then focus on, okay, ano bang solusyon? You don't always need to just think in the box. You can also see, okay, kung wala akong mga documents, yung nasabi mo, kung nawala, nasunog, no, kung may kumuha, what can you do in order to still satisfy the evidence but using something else? No? So don't give up nga. It's don't panic, certainly don't give up.
okay, well, yan marami kayo natutunan sa gabing ito, no? At well, bago kami magpaalam, sabihin ko lang na ang ating show ho, yung Sunny Laragan Show is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because yung Tuesday and Thursday ho natin yung puro mga legal na tayo, no? A legal advice corner on a Tuesday, on a Thursday, immigration corner. Kaya medyo napahaba ho kami ngayon. So, attorney, thank you very much. Nako, maraming salamat at marami na naman natutunan tayong mga kababayan at lumalago yung ating viewership. Marami sa UK at marami ring nakikiusyoso sa atin sa iba't ibang bahagi ng Europa, no? Sabi nila, tingnan din natin at makiusyoso tayo paano ba ang immigration sa United Kingdom. So, attorney, baka may mga last word ka, go right ahead please.
Oh, well, I mean, just shout out really to our usual viewer, Miss Gilling. She loves you, Sonny. So
I love you, Miss Gilling. Oh, we love you. Yeah. Yes.
And happy GCSE days to the day to those who have had their GCSE today. My niece particularly, no, she got her result. She's very happy. So it's it's wonderful nga na maraming nanonood sa atin. It's great. It's always a pleasure also to duet with you. Sorry.
Well, the pleasure is mine actually, attorney. No, I'm really honored and excited din ako every time we have this because this is actually a public service to our kababayans. They get to know it's educational week in week out that we are here. Maski paano ba, di ba? Matututo tayo. Sino ba yung nasabing bakit daw siya pumasa dahil nagtiyaga siyang pumasok araw-araw, maski paano sa araw-araw niya pagpasok meron siyang nakuha maski konti dahil nakikinig maski paano kung absent ka sa klase di ba? Kaya yun ang naging isang reason why bakit daw siya naging successful as a student because she or he was always present, hindi siya uma-absent. Okay, well,
ako nga din listening to our to the viewers that we have nga natututo nga din ako. So it's interesting to know, okay, these are the issues that are that concerns nga people. And there are certainly 2-3 topics that after a session I'm going to look up, to do with the citizenship. So natututo nga din ako. So the pleasure is totally mine, and I'm so happy that we're being joined by so many.
Nagulat nga ako. Parang buti nga nasasagot mo na nagugulat ako baka malayo na sa province natin ang pinag-uusapan natin. Pero somehow, 'di ba? At least you have some ideas about it. And at kung ano man masabi mo na at least merong konting idea lang, but yun pwede nang ma-check naman huli nyo later on. Ito naman mga advice ni attorney, depende rin sa mga situations talaga, no? Because you have to really find out kung ano yung talagang kwento nila no? Ito yung mga medyo pahapyaw lang, mga generic style lang kumbaga ng dating sa kanila, sa atin, ng mga tanong. Pero meron din mga ano yan, di ba? Mga specifics yan, bawat kwento nila, no? Kaya kailangan hong isang guni ho ninyo sa isang immigration lawyer or specialist katulad ni attorney dahil ano yan medyo komplikado rin yan. At bawat kaso hindi naman pare-pareho, may kanya-kanya ring mga pagkakaiba yan. So, attorney, thank you very much. Till next week. Looking forward again to another interesting and informative session dito sa ating Immigration Corner. You take care. God bless and have a nice weekend. No? Enjoy the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, attorney.
Good night po. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night to sa inyo lahat.